Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida IPA Extension Service here in Hernando County, and joining me today is our Hernando County Florida Friendly Landscape Coordinator, Colby Pitts. Good morning, Colby.
Good morning.
Colby just popped in here from his busy office over there, and our master gardener, Bernie, the man with all the lawn and garden plant kind of question answers. Bernie, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty good considering I'm an old man.
Well, you bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table here today. So
I've just lived long enough to make more mistakes than the other gardeners. That's the difference. The older you get, the more experience you've got, the bigger your pile becomes of dead and decaying things. You know, mulch is a wonderful product because it's easy to make when you're making those mistakes. So
exactly. You
try.
just know all the different things that don't work.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, we got somebody on here with us this morning. Good morning, Cindy. How are you from Pinellas County? So, as always, if anybody watching us live has any lawn and garden questions, irrigation, water, trees, I can go on and on and on with all the different topics that we can answer questions on. Please just go ahead and put them in the comments, and we'll show them on the screen and do our very best to come up with an answer for you. For anybody who's watching this as a recording on either YouTube or Facebook, I'm going to have all of our contact information in a little bit. So if you have questions, the easiest thing to do is just contact us directly. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and just put my email right down there. So if you've got a question for me, just go ahead and send me an email. By far the best way to get in touch. So, guys, how's everything going?
Busy over here, like you said, all the time.
You know, I noticed something that has kind of puzzled me. April and May are usually the time of the year when these little black bugs come out, fly in pairs, and smash into your windshield. And I really have not seen the love bugs, and we're just about through the season. And is there any reason that you know of why the love bug population crashed this spring?
No, and they may pop out like day after tomorrow because it's a very weather and environmentally dependent thing. Although that brings to mind it's May 15th right now, so halfway through May. I haven't gotten any questions recently on lubber grasshoppers or Jadera bugs. They should have been out. The caterpillars in the oak trees, haven't gotten any questions on them. I know that there's insects out and about. The weather's been very nice for a while. We finally here in Hernando County got some rain, apparently while I was out of town this past week. So that's always good. Everything may be delayed a little bit because of fairly dry late winter, early spring. I don't know.
That's just unusual. I'm used to driving around not being able to see out the windshield for 2 months. So I appreciate them not being there.
Yeah. I don't think they're gone like for good. I think they may just be a little delayed.
Oh, okay. Didn't turn your mic back on.
Rats. I saw the first love bugs of the season like 3 weeks ago, maybe on a Saturday. I was out at the Ohm Center off of out behind 19, behind Target. And I saw a couple when I got out of the car, and I have not seen any since. You know, I wonder if it's because we're getting those like late rains. The temperature's been a little bit lower than it typically is. I mean, I got a low pressure light on my tires this morning, which I'm like, whoa, because it was 70. It was 70 degrees when I left the house, which is pretty atypical of this time of year.
You know, there's bugs don't seem to go with predictions at all. It's like the locust. We were supposed to have the biggest year we ever had of locusts last year, and now they're saying, well, maybe it's going to be this year. And I remember when I was a kid, you used to find little bodies on trees everywhere, the old shells, and I just haven't seen them, haven't heard them very often in Florida. So maybe they aren't down here, or maybe they aren't in the numbers that they were, or maybe like everything else, times have changed. You know, it's uh, we blame it on somebody. It's always somebody's fault because it's different. So
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that play into it each and every year. For example, winters, when we have a lot of cold weather, especially late in the winter, and it gets very, very cold, that really suppresses a lot of pest insects. So in the spring, you'll see fewer pests. They always come back. They just come back a little bit later. It takes them longer to build their populations up. Um, I know in my vegetable garden, I have another bumper crop of beans, which are going to be finishing up pretty soon. They don't go on for very long. Um, no pest problems on them yet. Starting to get a little bit of bean leaf rust on them, some spotted leaves. And cherry tomatoes, they're doing really well. The weather this early spring was very, very good for starting tomatoes and peppers. So it varies, it changes year by year. But we have an actual question here. So this is what we're always asking for and always hoping for is a specific question. So Mitchell says, "Good morning. I recently purchased an August Beauty Cape Jasmine. Unfortunately, the plant is in a 3-gallon pot with 2 rooted cuttings that are now 2 feet tall and they've flowered. Would it be possible to split them? I'm thinking of submerging the root ball and pulling them apart." Yes, if it is in a 3-gallon pot, 2 different cuttings, you should be able to split them. Hopefully, they're not like so close they're touching each other. It's going to be really hard to split. If there's some room between them, um, splitting plants like that, or if you have a plant in the ground in your yard and now there's multiple plants, it's like, gosh, I really wish I had 2 separate ones, put one over here, the other one at the other end of my garden. You can dig them up and split them, get something very, very sharp. A lot of people use a flat edge shovel. And if you have a bench grinder, if you can sharpen your shovels, little word of advice, if you sharpen your shovels, they work a lot better. They'll split things better, they'll go into the ground better. So sharpen that shovel, aim straight, and hit the roots right between the 2 stems. And as long as both of them are reasonably healthy and have a good root system, you can successfully split the 2 into 2 separate ones.
I found that a bread knife and a little sawing action really works well. So
Okay, I know with tomatoes, a lot of times I'll start more than 1 seed in a pot, and they'll get a couple inches tall, and I can split them pretty easily with a butter knife. Obviously, you know, a jasmine is larger and has larger roots than a small tomato plant. So Mitchell says they're only 1.5 inches apart. Uh-oh.
yeah, that's going to be tough.
If you take it out of the pot and you're able to very carefully and patiently split it apart and kind of untangle the roots, you're going to lose some roots. But as long as you have a decent enough root ball and number of roots for starters, the plants will grow back. They'll make more roots. So yeah, 1.5 inches apart, that'll be about like this. You probably want to try to split them as best you can. Other things, if they're further apart, but the roots have grown and kind of knitted together and tangled, you can just slice them right down the center successfully. So that's one question. My work for the whole day is done, I guess. So
That's pretty good. You know, I've noticed that we have not had the insect calls that we would normally get by this time. There have been very few gardening insect questions, and it's been relatively calm. So I think that your observation of possibly the winter being the way it was is probably pretty accurate because it has really been a good year for gardeners.
It has been, and I know, especially with growing vegetables, if we have a very dry, very low humidity, late winter, early spring, that's great for growing vegetables. It just kind of forestalls the diseases setting in a little bit later. And by the time we do start to get the rains, the humidity, splashing soil all over your tomato plant leaves and everything else, it'll be pretty much time to wrap those tomatoes up for the spring because you're only going to really be growing them till mid-June. After
Yeah.
that, if you're still getting tomatoes, you can keep going. But after mid-June, they are going to start to decline. You're going to get a lot more diseases, a lot more insects. Um, Things like cucumbers are probably about done already at this point.
I noticed that our hydroponics had been really going super, and now it's finally started to slow down a little bit. So it's obvious that things are changing a little bit now. So uh, we've got another probably 3 or 4 weeks with our hydroponics garden here, our little demonstration unit. So it's just been great for those that did gardening this spring.
Yeah, I think it
You
was last year I planted, I was late getting my garden started and planted. I'm running out of time. It's like, oh, I really want to grow something to be able to eat here. My tomato transplants have failed. My peppers never came up. It's getting real late. I'm just going to plant green beans in the whole thing. Oh my gosh, I got bushels of them. I ended up canning like 35 quarts of green beans. So this spring, I figured, okay, I still have lots of canned green beans left. I'm just going to plant a little bit of green beans so we'll have some for fresh eating. Got another boatload of them. Need to get out there starting this afternoon, getting them picked and either freezing them or canning them because I got just they just did really well once again. I got them in at the perfect time, I guess, and the weather actually for once cooperated. But as we head into summer, there are things you can grow in your vegetable garden in the heat of summer. They just have to be really specific things. Cucumbers, tomatoes, squash, like yellow squash, zucchini, things like that. Not going to make it in the summer here. This is Florida, guys. This isn't Pennsylvania. This isn't New York. This isn't Wisconsin. This is Central Florida. All those things grow really well up there in the summer. Down here, it has to be tropical vegetables in the summer. So, let me turn this off. If you want information about that, we have a whole bunch of classes that we've done over the last several years that we recorded, and they're all on Hernando County Government's YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, go through the little search box up top, type in Hernando County Government, you'll find their YouTube channel. If you look under playlists, there's one for Florida Friendly Landscaping, and there's like 100 recorded classes there on different Florida friendly landscape topics. On vegetable gardening and fruit trees, if you look at the extension playlist, that's where I have a number of recorded classes. And we did a number of them last year on things that grow really well in the heat of summer here. Things like sweet potatoes, okra, black eyed peas, calabaza, which is a hard squash, it's a winter squash, also commonly called Cuban pumpkin. You can find it at different specialty stores. You can usually find it at Winn-Dixie a lot of times also, at Spanish markets. That grows really well during the heat of summer. So there are things that grow during the summer here, just not everything. So please don't blow me up all summer long with questions and pictures of your cucumbers that are totally dead. What's wrong with my cucumber? Should I fertilize it? No, you should have planted it very early in the spring, like late February here in Hernando County, to have your best chance of getting actual cucumbers off of it.
Colby, understand that the water ordinance and the fertilizer ordinance are absolutely going to stand for the rest of the year. And I just wondered if you'd like to comment on that.
Yes. So there were discussions of changing the fertilizer ordinance. That did not happen. So no one has to worry about 1 day a week watering going anywhere. That's going to stay. I don't think that is one of the things that is being talked about being changed. There was talk of changing the fertilizer ordinance. That did not, like I said, that did not happen. So the fertilizer ordinance maintains what it has been since May of 23. So that is 2 fertilizer blackout dates: a winter ban and a summer ban. Cold season, they say cold season, rainy seasons, whatever. So that is from December 15th to March 15th, and from June 1st to September 30th. So within those dates, you cannot put down turf fertilizer. Now, that is, like I said, that's turf fertilizer. That's not you can still fertilize your vegetable gardens. That's not covered under.
And your palm tree.
And your palm trees. But if you think about it, right, it's you should be putting different fertilizer on your palm trees than you are your turf grass. If you're not, you probably won't have palm trees for very long.
I have people ask about hand watering the lawn. Does hand watering the lawn get you an exemption, or is the watering only on irrigation systems?
It's not only on irrigation systems. The 1 day a week watering applies no matter how you're putting, however you're applying water, right? But there is an exemption for it's called, I think in the exact wording is like hotspot treatment. So with hotspot treatment, as long as you're manually treating it, which would be hand watering, or with a hose with a self-canceling, manual self-canceling nozzle, that just means when you let go of it, it stops spraying. You can treat small hot spots. So don't stand out there and spray your entire yard. But if you have one spot that is a hot spot, then you are allowed to.
Okay, so
apply water to that.
If somebody would put down a little bit of sod, the sod they put down, they can go ahead and hand water.
That's actually different. With sod that you're putting down, that's not hotspot treatment. That is new plant material. So you are allowed to water that for 60 days. The only way you can use any type of irrigation system is if it's like your traditional in-ground irrigation system. You can only use it if you've covered more than half of the zone, half of a given zone. Then you can use that zone. It has to be more than half.
Okay.
But if not, then yes, you can hand water your like if you put down, let's say, just one of the squares of sod in one area, you can put those. You can water those with respect to the times, whatever day you want.
Yeah, that comes up fairly often. People will have an area that gets a fungal problem, and they'll end up replacing maybe 10 or 12 pieces of sod to replace one bad spot. And I tell them you can't use the irrigation system, but they can hand water that area, and they're not going to get in trouble. So.
Yeah. Another thing to remember too is if it's a big enough area, right, that's not being covered by that isn't big enough that it's covering half of an irrigation zone, but that you could put one of those stand sprinklers in, as long as that stand sprinkler is only hitting new sod, that's okay too.
Okay.
Because I've seen that situation where, let's say it's one corner and they have the stripes of zones, and it's only 25% of any given zone, but you end up with a big area. Yeah, you can put a set sprinkler out there and do it that way. My only other recommendation is, if you do get new sod, please keep a receipt and timestamp pictures of when you laid it, so that way when you're 45-50 days into your new plant material exemption and your sod is established and it looks like normal grass, you get a watering violation towards the late end. You can say, I laid sod 50 days ago. So make sure that you're hanging on to that stuff if you're putting down new sod.
Okay, so these rules don't apply then. That's a sod. So if somebody puts in a half a dozen trees, they can water the trees as necessary to get them established. And there
Per the new plant material. I can actually show the rules if you give me just a second.
does the time requirement occur
Yes.
there also? You still
The
can't
only
water during the heat of the day.
Yeah, the only time that you can water outside of those time, like outside of before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m., so in between 8 and 6, is the day that you put in the plant. So let's say you put your new tree in at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, you can water it that day, that Saturday when you put it in. But after that, it has to be with respect to the normal times.
Apparently, it's being enforced, and it's starting to be effective because I have a lot of people now that are very touchy about watering. Some of them have gotten the first violation, and some of them their neighbors have gotten violations. So
And it's
hopefully that will reduce these people that water every day. But it's going to change the maintenance requirements. You know, you can't mow at 2 inches and water once a week and expect the lawn to stay healthy. There, people are going to have to start mowing at correct height
for
doing
sure.
proper
And
maintenance.
I feel like every time that I talk about turf grass, or every time that I talk about watering practices, which is quite often, you that is the biggest thing. 1 day a week watering is enough, as long as you're doing the other things correctly. It's super important that you're mowing your turf grass at the correct height, because if you're not going to be successful. These short, frequent watering, not only does it breaks, it's not in compliance with the ordinances, it also promotes your roots being this deep in the ground. So the first time that you don't water it how you have been, or the first time that you get some kind of opportunistic pathogen that's going to take it out, it has a really short, weak root system instead of a deep, strong root system, and you end up losing your whole yard. Even though you put in all of this water input, all of this fertilizer input over time, you're going to lose it all because you weren't managing it correctly. It's kind of a it is really a less is more type of thing, because you take a 3/4 of an inch of water, that's going to go a foot down. You're going to get a foot of percolation down into the soil, and the grass is going to have to grow to reach the water to continue using it, and it will do that. But if you're constantly making water available at the very top 2 or 3 inches of soil, the grass is like, oh, well, I don't have to grow my roots any deeper. I have water right here. So it's just an important thing to remember, that you can definitely have a successful lawn with 1 day a week watering. You just have to do your maintenance correctly.
Okay,
How's your?
Sorry, we got a question here about Everglades tomatoes.
I'll get off my soapbox.
I've never grown Everglades tomatoes before. It's a variety tomato. It makes a very small cherry tomato, and it does well in our hot, humid summers. So if you're growing tomatoes, the ones that do the worst once we get past middle of June, it starts to get hot and steamy, are going to be the really big heirloom tomatoes. They're going to die first. Ones that do a little bit better are going to be Roma tomatoes, or the plum tomatoes, and cherry tomatoes. And the ones that do kind of the best and have the greatest chance of surviving the entire summer are Everglades tomatoes. And there's a few other varieties of heat-tolerant tomatoes that you can find different sources online to get the seeds. I haven't tried a number of them. I have not tried yet. I think I'm going to try some heat-tolerant tomatoes this summer. I think I got some seeds, so we'll see how they work. The problem is, once we start to get into June, July, and August, it's really hot, rainy, sunny, humid all day, all night. Very, very, very tough on all the kind of traditional European vegetables, the tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumbers, all those. and you're going to have a lot of disease problems. So Everglades tomatoes do well for a lot of people, even well into summer, but still there's no guarantee that they're going to survive the summer. They might, but they might not. But they're going to give you the best chance of surviving the summer. And got a question from Mitchell about, has there been a lot of HLB or Huang Long Bing reported in our county, which is another name for citrus greening? And yes, there has been a lot of problems all over the entire state with citrus greening.
I have, I had at one point about 100 trees, and at this point I'm down to about 40 trees, and they all have greening, and they're all a mess, and it's just they all need to come out. It's reached a point where uh, they produce nothing, and they're uh, just basically a place for the Spanish moss to hang out. So, uh, but yes, citrus greening is a serious, serious problem in Hernando County. And if you have one of these wooded areas where there's a tree that's sitting in the middle of the woods someplace, they tend to still be good. It's apparently the little insect flies over the forested areas thinking there's nothing there and finds all of the citrus that's out in the sun and doing well. So uh, there's not much left except for the wild trees in the forested areas now.
And now there are several varieties of citrus greening resistant citrus trees. The one that some of you may know of that we have actually had available for sale at our Master Gardener Nursery on and off over the last year or two at this point is Sugar Bell. And there are a few other varieties that are becoming available right now. Still no lemons, no limes, no grapefruit that I know of. Just a couple different, mostly Mandarin type oranges are available right now. So for anybody watching us live, if you have any questions, comments, anything, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and do our very best to answer your question. Bernie, here's a good one for you. Can citrus be replanted in the same hole without infecting the replacement tree?
I would say yes. This is one of those things where the uh, bacteria is carried by an insect and implanted into the tree by the insect. Uh, just because you have an infected tree, the trees next to it don't necessarily get it unless the insect gets to them. So, before when we had big problems, they were recommending rip out the infected trees. Well, that isn't going to do any good at this point. The little psyllids, and they're called citrus psyllid. They're very, very small. They're in the order of no-see-ums almost, and they have been a real problem. They just moved across the state. It took them about 2 years to cover the whole state, and citrus is no longer a really good thing. The biggest problem is if you have a susceptible plant and it gets greening, why would you put another susceptible plant in the same hole? Because it's going to get greening also, not necessarily from being in the same hole, but from being in the same location. The insects are there, the insects will attack it. Now, if you could build a real fine mesh net over the tree uh, and never let anything get near it, actually that works,
They have them.
and you can be very successful. And some of the citrus growers have got a mesh bag that they put over the trees to keep the psyllids away. So that could be done, but no, there's no reason you can't plant citrus in the same spot. But the big question is, why would you?
Yeah, because if you had infected psyllids in your neighborhood before, you probably still have them. And I know that they say if you live in a spot where there's really no citrus trees within 10, 20 miles, you may be safe, but you never know for sure. And if your house or your property is a half a mile from an old abandoned citrus grove, forget it. You're going to plant a citrus
Yeah.
tree. You're going to have greening within literally weeks because there's still plenty of leftover psyllids hanging out. So some people get it very quickly. Other people can go a number of years. I've still talked to people who have the really big, really old grapefruit trees that are still not infected. So we can't tell you when your tree will get infected. All we could tell you is if it's not resistant, it most likely one day will become infected and then decline and die.
Yeah, well, my recommendation on citrus at this point is if you have a tree that's infected, don't worry about it until the fruit is no longer any good or until the tree is totally dead. The, don't bother ripping it out hoping that you're saving something else because it's so prevalent it makes no difference anymore.
So I'm going through sharing a lot of our links about how to contact us, the address for our Master Gardener Nursery. They have a great selection of native and Florida friendly plants. They are open Wednesday and Saturday mornings from 8:30 in the morning until I believe they're closing at 11 now. As the weather gets hot, they close at 11 instead of noon because it's hot.
By the way, there is a finger lime tree that is resistant, and finger limes are. I thought it was really interesting. There was a show, cooking show the other day, and it had one of these uh, really fancy little dishes, and it talked about using the champagne of lime, the
Ooh.
finger lime, and it's hundreds of little tiny little balls in the finger limes, uh, and that's the champagne of lime. So if
I
you
have
want
one.
something that's a little different, I have one. I was kind of concerned. It kind of turned yellow, and then it popped out all new growth, and all the new growth really looks pretty. So uh, I think it's finally settled in, and it's going to be okay. But uh, that is something you can keep in the back of mind if you run across one. It's going to be an expensive tree. Uh, if you buy it in our area a little farther north, um, it probably will not have any winter problems. There are versions that are very cold tolerant. I would not buy one in South Florida and bring it here because they need to be matched to the area for cold tolerance. But it would be something to consider for Hernando County or Orlando area, and the land in between. So
Here they have. I thought they had a separate website for that. University of Florida has a ton of information on. They're doing a lot of research with it. Here is a link to a blog post, and this should have a lot of. Yeah, this has links to more. Here, I needed to look up fertilization. Hmm. Just says it doesn't need a whole lot of fertilizer because these trees have smaller leaves and a smaller canopy. Um, but I think that I need to. This blog's a little old. We'll try to find a.
they do have very small leaves for a citrus tree. I mean, it's uh, they're kind of a nice dainty tree. They don't get that big. Their ultimate height is maybe 12 feet or so, I think, and uh, it, they might make a nice specimen tree. for anybody that needs a little tree right in the front yard, even. So, uh, pretty tree.
Mhm.
Green year round, nice shape.
I just shared a link to more information on growing finger limes.
Didn't pop up on my screen.
Oh, it showed up on the comments.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you guys can read the comments
No, I can't.
that I'm not showing yet. Colby should be able to. He's an admin, so. Okay, got another question here from Mitchell. He has a lot of clay in his soil, not a whole lot of citrus in his area. Citrus generally likes really deep sandy soil. He says he's got about 24 of the sugar bell trees that are doing really well at this point. That's great. I mean, citrus can do well in areas with more clay in the soil, but traditionally it was commercially grown in areas that with really deep sandy soils, and has been going for 4 years, so that's great. I've spoken with a number of people who have bought trees from us over the last couple of years, and all of them say their trees are doing really well and not dead from greening. That's always a good thing. So let me show the best way to contact Colby and to find out about all of his upcoming classes, events. We do monthly rain barrel classes here in Hernando County. We have a very active compost bin uh, class and program going also. So there is the link to go to and check that out and be able to contact Colby and sign up for all those different activities. Um, hey, how'd the compost class go last week? You guys okay?
Well. I think that this time of year they tend to slow down a little bit because a lot of folks are heading back up north. But it
Yeah.
went well. We had some people here. They got their compost bins, got their rain barrels. It was a good time. So if you want to come, please reach out. It's a good time to do so. I know that in July we're having our uh, we're doing one in the evening, which is a change because they're normally done on Friday mornings. We understand that people work during the week, same as me. I'm at work when I'm doing these, so um, we want to provide that service for everybody. So the one in July I think is it's on like a Thursday evening at like 5:30. So
July.
you
I
can
have it for July 10th.
there you go. So July 10th, we'll be doing one, and that's going to be at my office. But we'll have one in June too. That one will be on the second Friday in the morning, like they normally are. But then we're also going to do one in the evening. So if you want to sign up for a Rainbow Workshop, I know my email's been up here. Just shoot me an email. I'll get the information from you. We'll get you signed up and hopefully get you a rain barrel and a compost bin.
We'll put it
The
back up
interesting
once
thing,
again.
Hernando County is doing hot compost at the landfill, and it's a super program. You can get free compost if you're a county resident. And I was telling one of the clients about it, and he got all excited. Talked to him a couple weeks ago, and four of his neighbors went together, took a pickup truck, went up. They got two loads, and he said not only did they not charge him, but they loaded the pickup truck for him. So he was all excited, and they split it out. He got a half a pickup truck, and three other neighbors got the same setup. So it's being used, and it's one of those programs. I assume that eventually they're going to start charging some reasonable fee, but at the present time, it is free, and there's absolutely nothing that works better for gardeners than compost. I mean, it's got all the good things you need. It doesn't need to be loaded down with fertilizers. It's got enough organic material. The little microbes are happy. It's just a great growing medium. So uh, if you need something to amend a sandy soil, instead of complaining about how God didn't give you good black dirt like you had up north, get some compost. You can do miracles with it. So as you can see, I'm a big advocate of this
Mhm.
free program. I love the price. I'm not cheap. I'm just frugal.
And if you live in another county, many counties are doing this. Obviously, not every county, but check with your county government. If you look online for your county's solid waste department, they should be able to tell you either they are doing it, they're not doing it, they're going to do it. And there are some private businesses around Florida. And what they do is they accept the yard waste and the tree waste and everything that blows down after hurricanes and has to be picked up. They accept all that, they grind it up, they make it into compost on a huge scale, and then sell it to the public either by the bag, by the pickup truck, by the dump truck. There's going to be a charge involved, but check with your county government to see if your county offers something like this also.
And that is totally different from the free mulch. You don't make the mistake of thinking about, oh, I got the free mulch when you really wanted to compost. The compost is hot compost. The seeds that won't germinate that were in it. The mulch is a cold setup. It's ground up plants. If there were vines that had seeds and other plants that you don't want that provided seeds, when you plant it or when you use that mulch, you're going to be surprised at how many things grow that you didn't really want. So there is a big difference between the mulch and the compost. The mulch makes great lawns, does good things, but you may have to treat it with some kind of herbicide to keep the uh, seeds down, keep the germination of bad things down. So don't make that mistake. You want compost to grow things. You want mulch to hide things.
There you go. Okay, guys, if anybody has any last minute questions, go ahead and get them in quick before we wrap up for today. I know as we keep going into spring, I have a lot on my calendar. We're going to have some pretty busy weeks coming up. So just keep watching for an announcement or an event on Facebook or YouTube about when we're going to be back on here live once again. We always share that on our Facebook page. Let me show that link. Our short name on Facebook is Hernando EXT. So definitely go there, like us, follow us. Keep checking back. Every time we have a class scheduled, virtual plant clinic, whatever it might be, compost bin class, rain barrel class, whatever, we always put it on there. So keep watching that. I don't see any other questions, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us and joining in and asking us a couple of questions. We will be back here again soon on a Thursday. Like I said, I'm not really positive about our schedule over the next couple of weeks, so just keep your eyes open. But we will be back to help answer all your questions. And until next time, everybody, take care and have a great weekend this weekend. Get out there and get everything pulled together in your garden before it gets really, really, really hot and you don't feel like going out and doing it then. So get out there and get everything done soon. Until then, bye, guys.
Thank you for being